9.2 Estimate activity resources. Estimate activity resources is the process of estimating team resources and the type and quantities of materials, equipment and supplies necessary to perform project work. The key benefit of this process is that it identifies the type, quantity and characteristics of the resources required to complete the project. This process is performed periodically throughout the project as required. The estimate activity resource process is closely coordinated with other processes such as the estimate cost process. For example, a construction project team will need to be familiar with local building codes. Such knowledge is often readily available from local sellers. If the internal labour pool lacks experience with unusual or specialised construction techniques, the additional cost for a consultant may be the most effective way to secure knowledge of the local building codes. An automotive design team will need to be familiar with the latest automated assembly techniques. Requisite knowledge could be obtained by hiring a consultant, by sending a designer to a seminar on robotics, or by including someone from manufacturing as a member of the project team, and that's from PMBOK Guide page 320. Estimate activity resources inputs. Input number 1, project management plan. The project management plan components that we're interested in for this process are resource management plan. The resource management plan defines the approach to identify the different resources needed for the project. It also defines the methods to quantify the resources needed for each activity and aggregates this information, which means rolls it up or adds it up. A scope baseline. Scope baseline defines the project and product scope necessary to meet the project objectives. The scope drives the needs for both team and physical resources. Input number 2, project documents. These can be considered as inputs for the process. Activity attributes. If you remember back to the work breakdown structure, when we wanted to store extra information for work packages and planning packages, we stored that in the work breakdown structure dictionary. Then we created the activity list as an add-on chart for the work breakdown structure and decomposed work packages into activities needed to deliver them. Please remember that you can only decompose work packages into activities, not the planning packages or control accounts. And once we worked out the activities, we needed to store extra information about them too. And we put that into the activity attributes. So the activity attributes is like the activity list dictionary. Examples of attributes include the resource requirements, imposed dates, activity location, assumptions and constraints. The activity list. This identifies the activities that will need resources. Assumption log. This will have information on productivity factors, availability, cost estimates and approaches to work that will influence the nature and number of team and physical resources. Cost estimates. These may impact resource selection from the quantity and skill level perspectives. There's no point in looking for a senior engineer if you've estimated only enough to pay for a junior engineer. Resource calendars. These show the working days, shifts, start and end of normal business hours, weekends and public holidays when each specific source is available or has been assigned to other work. In the case of personnel, the calendar should also show when personnel are available due to vacation or training. Resource calendars also specify when and for how long identified team and physical resources will be available during the project. This information may be at the activity or project level. It may also include attributes such as resource experience and or skill level, as well as various geographical locations. Risk register. The risk register describes the individual risks that can impact resource selection and availability. Input number 3, enterprise environmental factors. The factors which can influence this process include resource location, resource availability, team resource skills, organizational culture, published estimating data and marketplace conditions. Input number 4, organizational process assets. And the assets which would influence the estimate activity resource process include policies and procedures regarding staffing, policies and procedures regarding supplies and equipment, historical information regarding types of resources used for similar work on previous projects. Estimate activity resources, tools and techniques. Number 1 is expert judgment, as it usually is. Expertise should be considered from individuals or groups with specialised knowledge or training in team and physical resource planning and estimating. So, nothing out of the ordinary there. Tools and technique. Number 2, bottom-up estimating. Team and physical resources are estimated at the activity level and then aggregated to develop the estimates for work packages, control accounts and summary project levels. This is exactly the same way we aggregate or roll up cost estimates and time estimates. In the exam, bottom-up estimating may be called engineering breakdown or grassroots. Tool and technique number 3, analogous estimating. Analogous estimating uses information regarding resources from a previous similar project as the basis for estimating a future project. It is used as quick estimating methods and can be used when the project manager can only identify a few top levels of the work breakdown structure. We covered this in cost estimating and time estimating. Analogous estimating will not work unless the two projects are truly similar. Tool and technique number 4, parametric estimating. Parametric estimating uses an algorithm or a statistical relationship between historical data and other variables to calculate resource quantities needed for an activity based on historical data and project parameters. For example, if an activity needs 300 metres of wall built in 5 days and an average bricklayer can lay 30 metres per day, this activity will require two bricklayers in order to finish on time. This technique can produce higher or lower levels of accuracy depending on the sophistication and underlying data built into the model. Tool and technique number 5, data analysis. A technique used in this process includes alternatives analysis, which can be used to evaluate identified options in order to select the options or approaches to use to the best solution to perform the project activities within the defined constraints. Many activities have multiple options for accomplishment. They include using various levels of resource, capability or skills, different sizes or types of machines, different tools, manual versus automated, and rent, make or buy decisions regarding on the resources. Tools and technique number 6, project management information system. The system can include resource management software that can help plan, organise and manage resource pools and develop resource estimates. Depending on the sophistication of the software, resource breakdown structures, resource availability, resource rates and various resource calendars can be defined to assist in optimising resource utilisation. Tools and technique number 7, meetings. The project manager may hold planning meetings with functional managers to estimate the resources needed per activity, level of effort, which is LOE, a skill level of the team resources and the quantity of the materials required. In case you've forgotten, the difference between the level of effort and duration means calendar difference between an activity start and activity end, whereas level of effort is the actual number of work units used. If an activity requires 1 day on Monday and 1 day on Friday of the same week, the level of effort is 2 days, but the duration is 5 days because it's from start to finish. Participants at these meetings may include the project manager, the project sponsor, selected project team members, selected stakeholders as needed and others. Estimate activity resources, outputs. Output number 1, resource requirements. Resource requirements identify the types and quantities of resources required for each work package or activity in a work package, or it can be aggregated to determine the estimated resources for each planning package, each work breakdown structure branch or the project as a whole. The amount of detail and the level of specificity of the resource requirements descriptions can vary by application area. The resource requirements documentation can include assumptions that were made in determining which types of resources are applied, their availability and what quantities are needed. Output number 2, basis of estimates. The amount and type of additional details supporting the resource estimate vary by application area. Regardless of the level of detail, the supporting documentation should provide a clear and complete understanding of how the resource estimate was derived. As I've said before, you need to be able to fully support any estimates and assumptions that you make in a project. This is the sort of information senior managers will demand if the project goes bad or if it is audited. The biggest mistake is to rely on your memory because you will probably misremember. And even if you do remember correctly, you will need to be able to prove it. Supporting detail for resource estimates may include method used to develop the estimate, resources used to develop the estimate, such as information from previous similar projects, assumptions associated with the estimate, known constraints, range of estimates, confidence level of the estimate, and documentation of identified risks influencing the estimate. Output number 3, resource breakdown structure. The resource breakdown structure is a hierarchical representation of resources by category and type. See figure 9.7, for example. That's from the PMBOK guide. Examples of resource categories include labour, material, equipment and supplies. Resource types may include the skill level, grade level, required certifications or other information as appropriate to the project. In planned resource management, the resource breakdown structure was used to guide the categorization for the project. In this process, it is a completed document that will be used to acquire and monitor resources. Output number 4, project document updates. The documents that need to be updated as a result of carrying out this process include activity attributes. The activity attributes are updated with the resource requirements. The assumption log, it's updated with assumptions regarding the type and quantity of resources required. Additionally, any resource constraints are entered, including collective bargaining agreements, continuous hours of operation, planned leave, etc. Lessons learned register. This can be updated with techniques that were efficient and effective in developing resource estimates and information on these techniques that were not efficient or effective. That brings us to the end of Estimate Activity Resources. The next lesson is 9.3, Acquire Resources. Please read the corresponding chapter of the PMBOK guide before watching the video.